Hello and welcome back to Data News of the Week. Merry Christmas or whatever your event is that you choose to celebrate in your own special way. That is totally up to you. But nonetheless, thank you for coming back. This is Data News of the Week, the video where we go through all of the different news that has happened this week and we cover it in one tiny little video. Before we go into any news at the end of this video, I'm going to give you a bit more information on that giveaway I'm doing at the end of the year, some of the stuff that we're going to be giving away. So again, if you've only come for that bit of the video, you can fast forward. But trust me, there's some good stories today. Maybe stick around for those. But let's crack on with the news. First and foremost, a new WD Black SSD. That's right, of all of the SSDs that I've talked about this year, when I've talked about different SSDs with regards to NAS compatibility and of course PlayStation 5 compatibility, has to be said that one brand did really bubble to the surface, really in the top three if not the top two, and that was the WD Black SN850, one of the earliest drives to get launched into the PCIe Gen 4 scene in terms of 7,000 megabytes per second. But it has to be said, in the year since it's released, a lot of other SSDs have arrived on the market, all of which kind of doing the same, if not better performance throughout. It's only really in the IOPS stakes that WD have really held on, as well as, of course, their more competitive pricing with everything happening in-house and their SSD arriving earlier than everyone else, meaning they can be a lot more creative with the pricing. However, a lot of people have noticed that that drive seemingly has kind of lagged behind a little bit in terms of performance, regardless of firmware updates, and that is why it's really interesting that on the recent integrators list, so this is the list of SSDs on the available integration panel and compatibility list, the SN850X has suddenly appeared on there. Now, from this point, this is all speculation. It isn't just me. A bunch of other websites are speculating on this as well. Is this going to be effectively a rejigged, new version of the 850 that's going to have improved NAND? Because, of course, NAND quality has jumped up exponentially since the original SN850 came onto this scene, with 176-layer NAND becoming, if not mainstream, then fairly available from a lot of brands. Is this going to be an improvement in the controller, not just firmware revisions, but a new reworked controller that will give some of that write speed that people have been demanding with, you know, SSDs on the market now? They're getting closer and closer to hitting 7,000 write. I think the highest at the moment is 6,850. But nonetheless, this is still early information. There are other SSDs from the WD potential lineup being revealed there on that list in other ranges, the enterprise range, and even some PCIe Gen 3 stuff there. But nonetheless, this is going to be a really interesting development, maybe something we'll see at CES. And that's not the first time that's going to be mentioned, not the last time they're going to be mentioned on this video. But still, nonetheless, I'd like to think WD would like to improve this drive, because of all of their drives, WD 850 has been an absolute stormer. And it's just a real shame that such a great drive is now being overshadowed by pretty much every brand out there right now. Next up, another SSD story, bit of a weird one. This was, again, first came to my attention thanks to Guru 3D, although it has been on AUDIOPHILE's own website there and their forums. This is regarding an AUDIOPHILE NVMe SSD. Now, what this means is this is an SSD that is optimized for audio. Now, by optimized for audio, of course, I don't just mean, that's a banging Taylor Swift track. I am talking people who take this so seriously that my understanding of sound is puerile by comparison to theirs, and what they demand from their audio, not just audio quality, but the pureness of sound, the pureness of silence, and everything about it has to be tip top. Now, this 1 TB SSD in full usage and mode actually only gives you around 333 gigabytes. That's because 2/3 of that storage is being used as pseudo cache, as SLC caching there. So the result is this is an SSD that's going to be able to handle enormous files very quickly. Because it's not just about output via that interface there, it's about the handling inside the drive and sufficient conkers to basically take care of the whole thing. Now, if you look at the build of this, there are factors built into, say, the copper pipe, copper plating of this SSD and the capacitors, which are genuinely groundbreaking within that field. And like, look at those images of it that are there on screen. It's really tough to wrap your head around this, because it looks like some kind of steampunk SSD. I can't even begin to understand the output of this, because the very nature of the files this is handling, you need a finely tuned and dedicated ear to notice those differences. Now, using their own description from the forum post, where they're looking for people to test this who have, an extensive and, hardcore enough background. And I'm going to read straight from my notes. They say this will produce a three-dimensional sound and a sense of vinyl and a dramatic sound that no other SSD can come close to at the moment. And again, this isn't really something we're going to talk about much on the channel, but for those of you that have come to this channel because you've been looking for storage for your large audio collection, or you are an audio editor who looks at the likes of MP3 and goes, what, you barbaric son of a, because you deal with FLAC and you deal with the incredibly nuanced file formats, this is very much going to be a storage drive that you might want to keep an eye on. And once again, carrying on with the subject of SSDs, it's been a real SSD heavy week. This is another thing that's going to be brought up in a lot more detail, hopefully at CES 2020 next month. And that's going to be in the first week or so for the event there. And again, that's going to be semi-digital, that one that's going to be hosted there. And this is to do with ADATA and 2 new prototype SSDs they are revealing there in PCIe Gen 5, the Nighthawk and the Blackbird, 2 ridiculously cool names. Let's be honest now, these are PCIe Gen 5x4 drives that are going to be available in up to 8 terabytes of storage, which is already TikTok, loving the sound of that. Now, let's go for that first one there, the Nighthawk. This utilizes a new controller for the market there, a Silicon Motion SN850X controller, and this drive promotes a sequential read of 14,000, so that's 14 gigabyte performance there in sequential read. In sequential write, that's 12,000 megabytes or 12 gigabytes write in sequential there. Incredible. Now, the Blackbird, little lower in terms of sequential write. This takes advantage of an integrated controller, the IG5666, and again, PCIe Gen 5x4, and this drive is promoting 14,000 megabytes per second sequential read and 10,000 megabytes per second sequential write. So a couple of beastly SSDs that I hope at CES they give some kind of real-world demonstrations there. This is, of course, we are talking about prototype drives here, and those names are subject to change. But again, next year is going to be a big year for PCIe 5. So again, we've only just got used to PCIe 4 in its 18 to 24 months of being around commercially, and PCIe Gen 5 is something that really is taking hold a lot faster than I anticipated. Finally, do you remember the very first data news of the week that I ever did? And again, that was months ago, much earlier in 2021. One of my first stories was a chap called James Hull, and I said I would keep track of this story. And now at the end of the year, I do think I have to give more updates on this. This is the chap who, if you don't recall, was the man that had an old PC. It was early days of Bitcoin. He'd mined basically an F-ton of Bitcoin on there, and then in a move just basically got rid of the piece. It got taken to the tip and trashed, and since then it's kind of been backlaced back and forth, and he's realized just how many is on there and just how much it's worth, and it's on a landfill site. Now, he'd formed a consortium to get hold of these Bitcoins. It's 7,500 Bitcoins there, and they're basically using AI analysis and AI scanning and basically going through this entire tip, desperately trying to find this computer and, of course, that drive inside. Now, the update to this story is now he's got NASA experts involved. Now, it is worth highlighting the content of that hard drive is going to be, in current transferable value of Bitcoin, £350 million. Not dollars, not euros. This is Great British pounds. That is a lot of wonga, but the more people that get involved in this, I think that cut is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And then, of course, you have got the time limit. Bitcoins are not only fantastically volatile as a currency anyway, but on top of that, you've got the simple fact that there's only a finite number of Bitcoins that can be created. And when that happens, there's going to be the crush. And that's all built into the kind of architecture of Bitcoin as its concept and how it can grow out. There's only a finite number of coins that can be occupied. And then, of course, I don't think this is going to be another Beanie Baby situation. I think this could really crash and burn. So it really is a race for time for him to get those back. And back to my giveaway at the end of the year. As mentioned, I'm going to be doing a random draw giveaway for a bunch of things that I featured here on the channel in the last 12 months. These are all going to be different kinds of hardware. And again, I debated long and hard stuff that I could give away that I wouldn't need for other videos, and therefore wouldn't be able to make further content to help people on them, but at the same time make sure they are decent enough pieces. So we're going to run all the way through. These are all the giveaway things. If you have generation game music in your head, start playing it. I don't think I'm allowed to put it as a bed on this video, but let's find out. I would say the smallest thing of all of them is this, a Wi-Fi 6 upgrade card. This is the original card that we utilized for several of our early testing videos. Again, puts out 2800 megs. If you've got a PCIe upgrade slot there ready and available, this will be good for you. Next up, next giveaway item is going to be an Anker night vision camera. This is a night vision AI camera. This is supported by all the NAS brands, and again, full color 4K there. That is our camera from Anker. It's PoE as well. We did a couple of videos on this device, and again, it's one of my favorite cameras. It's a real shame to get rid of it, but it's just simply the case that of all of the cameras that I utilize here in the background and here in the office, I've already got an AI bullet cam. So there we go. That is the next one there. Following up, we're going to make our way into storage media, and in storage media we'll start from bottom to top. Again, we have a SATA SSD here. This is from Titanium Micro. This has got a 7-year warranty on it from their drives. This is the PD56 560 1 TB drive, enterprise high drive writes per day SSD for those PC users. Then of course, for you PS5 gamers and PC gamers, we have got a Brent Rocket 4 Plus in 2 TB right there. And again, this is not the drive that we utilise for a lot of our later testing. This has only been used, I think, for about 2 hours for my original videos there. So that's ready to rock. And of course, back to Titanium Micro, this is that heavily understated TH7175. This is the SSD in my videos that I said it was one of the most mature drives I've ever seen. It has incredible read-write performance. It has 7 years of warranty in it that will be covered in the giveaway there. And ultimately, I've got to say, the only reason I'm giving it away is I have more than one. So there you go, that's going to be it. And back to NAS, we're going small to large. Again, they're a brand I talk about on the channel quite a lot. This is TerraMaster F4, let's get the brand name. This is the F5221. This is a 5-bay Intel powered NAS. And again, we're going to be giving this away to someone. It's not going to be populated, but that will be given away there. And it's quite a large one. And of course, our star prize, we've already talked about it. The box is right there behind me. This is the QNAP TBS464, the NVMe SSD NAS. We've utilized it for about 4 or 5 videos. Again, it won't include storage media, but that is our big star prize. These are the things that we're going to be giving away at the end of the year in the random draw. I think there's, what, 8? There might be 9. I didn't really keep track. So again, I've already linked to those videos before, the ones. All you got to do is mention the Christmas movie that's been mentioned in them and put it there in the comments, and then you'll be in the random draw at the end of the year. And again, I hope you look forward to that. Thank you so much for watching the channel this year. Genuinely grateful. Let's face it, data storage is a super dull subject, and those of you that have followed this channel even before this year, thank you so much. Those that have joined me this year in this, this journey into data storage, be it for gaming, business, NAS, DAS, Thunderbolt or more, thank you so much for watching. Genuinely appreciate everything, guys. I look forward to next year when we're going to look more into PCIe Gen 5. We're going to be looking more into PC gaming, I'm pleased to say. A lot of the SSDs we looked at, we're going to do some intense PC setup gaming there. We've got a new rig being built as I speak. We also have a lot more OWC content with the Destroyer cards, as well as a couple more SSD brands and some brand new exciting NASes that I've just learned about that I can't really talk about until the end of January, and I look forward to telling you about them. But do stay tuned, subscribe if you want to learn about those, and of course if you're already subscribed, thank you so much. Have yourself a fantastic holiday period. Nearly said the word. And thank you so much for watching. Click like if you've enjoyed the video, subscribe, whatever. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.